This is so awkward. I'm not ready for this. So, round 2 of our review of Project Hail Mary. Welcome to Now Showing. I am Chewy from ESPN Radio Winchester. You may know me from the starting lineup in the mornings here. And we're doing an experiment here for the second time. But I decided that, hey, let's do some movie reviews, and we're going to do Project Hail Mary.
If we do nothing, everything on this planet will go extinct, including us.
Project Hail Mary, they're trying to save the sun. There's a mysterious bacteria-like alien organism that's like eating sunlight, and it's dimming our sun and all the local stars and everywhere they can see.
It's spreading to the point like a virus that the sun is basically blocked out. And they're making a trek back to Venus for some reason, and they're trying to figure out why. What's special about Venus? And and during the course of the movie, they figure that out. Are we allowed to give spoilers?
Spoiler time code. Jump here if you want to skip spoilers, and then it'll be at the end of the review, and we'll tell you if it's worth it to go see it or not. So okay. Spoiler territory. Go to this time code here.
All right. Yeah.
So spoilers ahead.
Spoilers ahead. Yeah. So they find out during the course of the movie that these little bitty amoeba-like creatures that block out the sun go to Venus and for the carbon dioxide, and they use that to basically breed, and they go back to the sun to basically power up. And the little creatures basically toot to scoot, so they fly through space, just, ejecting material and going from one point to another. But anyway, it's causing a big problem, not only with our sun, but all the local stars around us. So they're basically infecting all the stars in the immediate, what would you call that?
Star cluster.
Star cluster, yeah. So, except for one.
Yes, and that's sort of the whole crux of the story, and that's also how Ryan Gosling's character gets involved. He is like a failed scientist who's turned into like a teacher at like a high school because he put out a project that didn't go well, or he has like a controversial opinion, and that's actually what sort of hooks him into the story. And through a series of convoluted events, and he sort of gets basically voluntold, hey, you're going to be the guy to go get to save the sun, or try to figure out why this star isn't going out.
Why are they infecting our sun? What are they?
Right. And which is also interesting because that actually doesn't really happen. Like the story is sort of told through a series of flashbacks as he remembers who he is.
Yeah.
And so we're sort of learning along with him on the way.
So that's one little difference between the movie and the book. At least in the movie, it's a little more gentle as to why he forgot. But in the book, they basically made him wiped his memory,
right.
And
it's all very implied in the movie.
Yeah. It's a little more gentle in the movie. Maybe he just forgot because he was in a coma, which makes the plot move along a little more graciously towards a lot of the people. But
he spoke up from a coma. I'm several light years from my apartment, and I'm not an astronaut.
It is based off the book Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Yes. In our household, that's a classic. Andy Weir is sort of a big deal around at home, and you actually read the book before this was even.
Oh, yeah.
I think before it was a production into a movie even.
Oh yeah, even The Martian. So I'm a Andy Weir fan. Let's put it that way. So
absolutely.
Well before the movies came out. So I've read the books multiple times, and as far as books go, this one ranks. I mean, I'm hard pressed to try to pick a favorite between The Martian and Project Hail Mary. They're that good.
All right.
Artemis, the second book he did was also really, really good. But as far as favorites, The Martian and this one are two of my top tier favorite books.
All right. Well, as far as the movie goes, though,
yeah.
Like, would you say that it sort of nailed what you were hoping for as a book fan?
When you read the book, you're always scared to watch a movie.
Yeah.
Because you think you're going to get disappointed.
It's not going to meet your expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially for a book like Hail Mary.
Yeah, and there's always things that they're not going to be able to put in the film that were your favorite sort of points in the book. In this case, not so much. I think they nailed it, and I'm a real big fan of this movie. And if you compare it to The Martian, as far as things go. It's still a love letter to science, no question.
Yeah.
But this one had a lot more emotional impact, I think. It was a more fun, more hopeful, just a generally good movie, in my opinion. So a very visceral experience. The visual displays just really draw you in.
So I have to agree with this. I think the key word here is hopeful. The Martian was one of those like very nihilistically real sort of grit in that movie. You were like, I told you the last time we did this, I was like worried for Mark Watney after the movie. I'm like, he's probably gonna have like cancer or something and die in 3 years. But with this movie, I did not have the same anxieties where the stakes were much higher technically, but at the same time, I was less mortified for the characters at the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I fell in love with sort of like the dynamic between them. And
So I met an alien.
well, as far as that goes, it will be confusing for some people at the beginning because he doesn't know who he is because he's also just as confused.
Right.
The second time watching, I very much appreciated a lot more of what this is one of those movies where you need to watch it again to go back and retrace your steps a little bit.
Yeah, if you've not read the book,
Yes, especially if you've not read the book.
then definitely it's one of the movies you'll want to watch twice. No question. Yeah. And just because you're going to see so much more little details you missed on that first pass.
Yeah, I like down to like certain shots. I remember you pointed out a few to me that I didn't even notice until we were in the movie theater for the second time. You know, and we'll get into that if you want. It's basically when he arrives at this star that's not dimming. Turns out we may not be the only species who's interested in why this star is not dimming.
Yeah.
So
Tau Ceti, one of the only star in our local cluster that is not dimming, they have to go to this star, you know, and this is where it gets into sort of science feasible. It's sort of, this is one of the more science fiction-y stories from Andy Weir. Again, it's definitely science plausible. He definitely keeps everything in the line of plausibility.
the mechanics all make sense.
But there's a little more stretch, you know, here, because, you know, the ability for an organism to actually blot out the sun, ability to survive on the sun, you know,
Right.
so there's little things, you know, but it's all very science feasible.
Yeah, and it also follows like natural logic. There was nothing in this movie where I was like, well, that just doesn't make any sense, you know, like from a scientific standpoint, which I appreciated because when he finally gets to that other star, that's when the most science fiction-y part comes in, and that's where we sort of meet the actual star of the show, which is Rocky.
Hi, Grace.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure everyone's already seen and heard about by now. You know, he's been in all the marketing. They brought him to like the red carpet. He had his own hotel room and everything. And
he's been in all the trailers. Yes.
and you and I sort of lamented when the first trailer came out that they revealed him.
In the book, you know, it was a slower reveal.
It was sort of a bigger surprise.
And, you know, for Andy Weir, this was one of the first time he sort of did he's definitely jumped back and forth between Earth and Mars and the Martian, you know.
Yeah.
But going back in time this time. So you're sort of jumping back in time on Earth to forward in time in the spacecraft, you know. So, you know, just reading the book, you're like, oh, what, you know, the very first time you encounter that, what's going on? So, you know, it was a new experience for Andy Weir writing. But they followed it in the movie, you know. So he was basically remembering bits and pieces of his past. Well, the book sort of followed that same plot. You know, so he just kept remembering little pieces, and it sort of revealed things slowly over time about who he was, why he was on this trip, because he woke up not really knowing anything, and his peers were dead. So
yeah, that was the other. Oh yeah, that's the other part is that he's alone.
Yeah.
Furthest away any human's ever been, and the lead, the pilot, and the captain both died on the way there when he woke up. So he's alone on a different star farther than anyone's ever been.
But there's good reasons for all of that.
Yes.
And, you know, that it's very dangerous. They'd never sent someone so far in the galaxy. They'd never sent something close to the speed of light. How did they do that? Well, it just happened to be that these little, what do they call it? Astrophage had the ability to store tremendous amounts of energy. So if they put a little carbon dioxide on the other side of a wall, they expel tremendous amounts of energy. So they're using that as propulsion. So the astrophage themselves are the reason we have the ability to get near the speed of light with a craft. And putting people in these long-term comas never been done before. So in this case, in the movie, they had a gene, that there was a very select few people who could actually survive it. But in the movie, it was a little more like these were the people they chose, and maybe they would survive and maybe they wouldn't. It was very dangerous, So
it was also a one-way trip.
One-way trip. They thought they didn't have enough fuel to get back.
Right. They were very much in the camp of like we're going to die, but we're going to save the species doing kind of thing. It was, but when he gets to that star though, that's when he meets our friend. Ryan Gosling made a good point though when he was talking about this. He says not talking about Rocky in the trailers is sort of like not talking about E.T. In E.T. And I was like, all right, I'll give you that. But Rocky Rocky is an alien creature. He's and it was an Idirian, I think is how it's pronounced. Someone correct me on that if I'm wrong. But he's one of the most creative uses of the word alien in a motion picture ever.
He has no face. He's sort of a heptapod. They did a good job with Arrival with a heptapod, being a very unique alien-like creature.
It very much reminds me of Arrival.
Yeah, so a little bit. But he's more like a rock creature. He's in an environment on his planet that is very hot, very dense pressure, mostly ammonia. He has no eyes because the sun doesn't penetrate the planet that far. So his biology and his evolution is all about the environment he grew up in, so that's or evolved in. And so it's really neat, the structure. There's actually some good YouTube videos talk about his biology.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? Like there's like the biological breakdowns. People were emailing Andy Weir, which apparently you can just do. And then he'll just contact. Like there are multiple YouTube videos where like I got curious, so I emailed the author. He sent me back like a 42-page dossier on the biology.
And to speak to the local group, that we've got a book club in Swanee.
Yeah.
Emailed him, and in 45 minutes, he responded.
Exactly.
To every point they had on his list. So this guy will respond to people, to his fans.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
It was so neat to watch these videos, especially after the first viewing, because I had so many questions like, well, why does Rocky do this? Or why is he like that? Made after the second viewing, and especially learning about his biology, which apparently there was more in the book about his biology, and like they were more curious about each other and how they did certain things. Rocky is much more presented just as himself in the movie, which I think is actually good.
So we talk about having to watch the movie twice to sort of catch the details, but I've heard that there is a 4-hour cut of the film.
Yes.
If there really is, I hope that comes out on Blu-ray. That would be amazing. But apparently the directors were showing people this 4-hour cut, trying to decide what to cut out of the film and, only keep the key pieces. But I have a feeling there's a lot more footage out there that would explain a lot more details.
Like the special edition DVD of this is probably going to be incredible.
It'll be amazing.
That being said, I can't imagine having to cut down a 4-hour cut of this because
you'd be crying, right?
They knocked it out of the park though, as far as it goes. And when you told me that, because I was actually unaware of this, because there were certain parts of the movie where I was like, well, that seems a little, it's like there seemed like there was another half to this in some parts, and there was that, and then you told me that there was actually 4 hours, and it made so much more sense because you have to, because it didn't. By the way, this movie did not overstay its welcome whatsoever. It didn't feel the length in my mind, like because in the momentum of the movie was like it was like as soon as you woke up, it was just go. Yeah. There was not a lot of like levity. Like there was maybe 2 or 3 moments that were sort of like calm and quiet.
Right.
And that's it. The rest of the movie was very focused, very forward, very problem solving. Like the plot was the problem. Do you know what I mean? The solving the problem through science. Yeah, which again, I appreciated.
The love story to science still there.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I appreciate it so much. For a lot of people, I guess The Martian might have been a little over sciencey. If you weren't a big science fan with The Martian, it's like that's a good fun story, but I can see where it might not have been some people's cup of tea.
Yeah.
This one, on the other hand, I think is going to hit the marks for most people, in my opinion, because it's got the emotional part, it's got the momentum, it's got the story keeps its pace, and it's visual storytelling at its best, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you compare it to the book is great. I couldn't put the book down. The first time I was listening to it, I had to stop work and just keep listening to this book. I'm like, okay, I have to know what happens next, so it was really that good. So I was so worried when the movie came out that it was going to be able to hit those marks, but they did such a good job, in my opinion, with the visual storytelling.
Yeah.
That you just stay engaged. It was.
There was never any point in the movie where I felt like, okay, it's time to talk about Rocky, or hey,
Yeah.
now it's time to talk about Grace. Everything happened organically.
Yeah.
Nothing felt very forced, and even the friendship between. So Rocky actually does eventually. They learn to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Through a series of like laptops and AI voices and stuff like that.
What is this?
I am Rocky. I like.
And there was never a point in the movie where it was like, well, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z, or there was no just exposition that just was like, okay, come on, now we
Yeah.
got to figure out. It was all very organic, very real. I genuinely believe that these guys were friends. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you lose that. There's a point in the movie, and it happens really fast, where it's like right after you meet Rocky, and he's like, they do this perfect job of making him like sort of mysterious. There's this glass-like structure that he's got with his technology, and he kind of moves like a spider. So he kind of looked like this creepy alien spider thing. In maybe 3 minutes, you were already on board. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Just his personality that came out. So shout out to the puppeteers who worked with Rocky. The lifelike movement, but also keeping it like it looked so real that you
And
bought
no
it.
green screen.
No green screen like that. I can't believe that.
Yeah, right. Well, when I go back and watch the movie, I'm just like, how did they do that shot?
I just, man, I cannot explain to you. Like, it's been very rare here recently, especially in the cinema and just movies in general, for me to watch a movie and be like wowed by the magic a little bit, because it doesn't happen anymore, like,
Sure.
But this movie, there multiple times in the movie, I remember looking up at it and just being like, oh my gosh, like how beautiful and just amazing. And you're just sort of really wowed by movie magic. So I wanted to specifically shout out the cinematographer, Greg Fraser. He is absolute legend. The shots in this of like getting the infrared with like you can sort of see the reflections of the alien spore amoeba things. But he is also the guy who did the Dune movies. He was a cinematographer for both of those and the Batman. So all of those like iconic shots from those movies, of like Paul on top of the thing talking to everybody with the nukes going off and the upside down Batman walking scene. That's all him. And like there's just shots of like the planets that they go to and like the stars, and I'm sitting back and I'm just blown away. Number one, like you said, no green screen whatsoever.
Yeah.
And you can tell because they don't have any of that feathering behind the hair, and the reflections are all correct. There's really big, very colorful sequences in this movie. So it's not just like black and white, sort of stark.
No.
They really leaned into this really interesting color gradient, and it worked so beautifully in some shots, even to the point to where the characters are saying it themselves. Like
Yeah.
I'm having a moment. And it's like, yeah, me too.
So he doesn't have a face, right? So some of his biology is, in order for him to see, he has echolocation, right?
Right, yeah.
So that's sort of a plot point in the movie. And there's one scene in the movie that wasn't in the book that I wanted to shout out. There's this room you can go into that's all LEDs that broadcast maybe like a picture of home. This has the ocean or walking on the beach, So if you're a human, you wouldn't feel so alone. But it's just flat LED screens, right? So Rocky, he gets on board his ship inside of a little bubble. A little bubble looks like this. So he makes himself like
a little hamster wheel almost, or a hamster ball.
But it's it's like his own little spacesuit basically, but it's a hamster ball. So
Right.
he can be inside our atmosphere because he's very hot. Our atmosphere to him would be cold. It would be less pressure, and it'd be oxygenated. He's so hot he would basically catch on fire. So anyway, he gets in this little ball and starts rolling around the ship, exploring it for the first time. And he goes into the room where you've got these huge, beautiful scenes on the walls. He goes, boring room, and just rolls
he
right
just
through
keeps
it.
going, yeah.
You sort of miss it unless you know what's going on. So for him, he couldn't see anything.
Right, because
So
it just looked like a
it looked like flat walls. So he just rolled right through,
He said, "This room boring," and he just kept rolling.
Right, so it's...
And you don't notice that, and that's what I'm talking about with that organic storytelling.
Yeah, and it's just so fun.
But then, even then, you sort of understand how smart both of the characters are, because then he makes like a little device that helps project what he's seeing.
So he realized that humans can see a lot of flat screens, and for Rocky to be able to interact well in this environment, he develops a little tool that will basically pick up light waves and project it onto a 3D surface that he can echolocate and see. So yeah, that's a really neat little thing. So he can sort of see screens now He can sort of point in certain directions and see the screen. So
they very much crossed their T's and dotted their I's with a lot of like the minutia of it. And again, it's like you don't notice that on your first watch, because I remember the first time watching it, I didn't even catch the "this room is boring" line.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, I just thought he was just kind of being cute, and but no, he was like, it makes because it makes sense. So everything in the movie has a reason for why it does things. Rocky isn't just cute for the sake of being cute.
Yeah.
Rocky is a person in his own right. You know what I mean? He's not like a dog. It's not the Baby Yoda thing.
Nope.
You know, it's very much like he has agency. He has anxieties.
They're definitely partners.
Yeah, and
they're
care.
there to save the stars. They're there for the same reason, so they work together to sort of solve the problem. So
it makes sense, especially when you think about the broader context, like why they step over to do so much extra for each other is because they might be the last beings at all.
Right.
Like the stakes start. It's very much in the background, but it never goes away. You get lost in the friendship and the enjoyment of figuring out the problem and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that background anxiety, it never really leaves you because you're like, what are we here for? And I really liked that about the movie, but I would argue that this is borderline a family movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, not to jump around a little bit, stay on Rocky a little more because I had something fun to say.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which was when he was learning to turn the computer into speech. So Rocky makes sort of musical notes, and in the book it's very much more musical, but he was able to take and starting with numbers and a clock, they started with numbers and they sort of build up their vocabulary with each other. Rocky has the ability to hear things and probably learn things a little quicker than humans, but for grace, he takes the noises and turns it into English, and he projects the voice back, right? So Rocky is saying words and they get translated onto the computer, and instead of saying amazing, he says amaze.
Amaze.
Right? Instead of go time, it's go time, he says time go.
It is time go.
Right? So it's a little backwards, almost like Yoda-like things.
Sure, yeah.
But I wanted to touch on the fact that we just had this amazing loop around the moon, and the astronauts just kept quoting Hail Mary, like, because when they had that first shot of the moon, the mission control was like, amaze.
Such a majestic view out here.
Amaze.
Yeah, I know. It was so great. The live stream, when they were live streaming the takeoff, everybody in the comments said, it's time go.
It's time go, yeah.
And it is shocking how much this movie has touched the cultural zeitgeist.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
Yes.
it sort of perfectly aligns with the Artemis II launch as well.
So it was just great timing.
Even the astronauts, I think Ryan Gosling gave them a private
He
showing
did. They
before.
got to see it before they went to space, which was totally cool.
And then they said hi to him when they were out there and everything. It was absolutely. I'm tickled to bits that this movie has done what it has. And we were talking about this on the way here about like this kind of success doesn't really happen very often.
No.
And this is very much one of those lightning in a bottle situations.
It's not a sequel. It's a standalone movie.
Yeah.
That has done extremely well. So
and it's not trying to set anything up either.
No,
it was just a fun story.
That's it. And I think, and again, there's so many ways this could have went wrong if you read the book.
Yeah, I could totally see it.
It has totally went very well. I'm very pleased with the movie, honestly. Because you're always scared when you read the book about how are they going to portray this?
Especially a good book.
How are they going to pull it off? Because reading the book, you're like, I don't know how they're going to do that. So but they just did such a good job with the visual storytelling in my mind.
No, I completely agree with that for sure. Also, one thing I did want to note as well is the musical score on this was shockingly good. I just the whole time I was watching it, I was just like literally amazed by it. But it was by Daniel Pemberton. Boy, that score is great. The last score that I remember, like I was like being like it touched me. It was the Oppenheimer movie, where like the music was so perfect that it hit the emotional beats right. It was like classic John Williams, where the music is doing half of the emotional labor for you in some places. Yeah. This movie does that very well. Not throughout the entire movie, but the moments where it really, really matters, like the music is just perfect. And I just wanted to point that out. So shout out to him for the music job on this. This is amazing. They got basically like it was like you built your A team for this movie, and that's kind of what Ryan Gosling did. He produced it, he bought the rights from Weir personally, saying, "I want to make your next movie." After he saw The Martian,
Oh, really? Wow.
And he went directly to Lord and Miller and was like, "I need you guys to come make the movie with us." And that's how it all came together. And man, it's really nice seeing something to come together like that well.
Yeah.
And be positive.
It's a buddy movie. It's a friendship movie. It's a save the earth movie. It has all these things going for it, and Grace, Ryan's character, is the hero that should have never been, right? Because as he learns, as he remembers,
let's talk about that. Yeah,
he was sort of a coward. He did not want to go to space,
right? Because he was also acutely aware of this is a suicide mission. They're not coming back. Yeah. He's not a brave person per se. Like, he is a normal human, for all intents and purposes.
He was projected to this position. He would have never went there by himself. He was the hero that wasn't meant to be. So it's
right.
Like,
but
he's the hero that they knew he could be.
Right. Yeah. That was sort of the thing. Is like the other characters believed in him more than he believed in himself.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess that kind of tied into the memory loss thing. Is like he sort of. I don't know if it was on purpose, but it was almost like he forgot to be a coward, and you know what I mean. And
at least in the movie, and the book is a little more forced, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing. The only problem I have with this movie, and I told you this, and it's not even really much of a problem as much as it is like it was just more noticeable than other things. There was a bit of an emotional flip flopping towards the last third part of the movie, where we would go from like scenes of them being together and having fun as friends to cut back to Earth before he launched, and they were like basically saying, "Hey, you don't have a choice to go."
There was some dark stuff in the book. I mean, the Earth was having a hard time of it. I mean, they basically had to nuke Antarctica. Think about having to make that decision just to get more like carbon and methane into the atmosphere to help heat things up, because you were losing that much sunlight and the crops were failing and people were starving. And
that seems like it was an intentional choice by the directors.
They sort of left a lot of that out. It may be in that 4-hour cut.
Maybe,
but I think some of the emotional flip-flopping can probably come from those scenes where they may have built up and shut down a little bit more, but they had to cut so much out, is my guess.
And it's not even that it was a problem. It was just...
I didn't notice it because I knew what was in the book.
Right, yeah.
So you pointed it out, and I was like, I didn't notice that at all. But
it was a little jarring at the end because they're basically saying their goodbyes to each other, and they're sort of celebrating because they think they figured it out.
Yeah.
But then it cuts back to a flashback where it's like super serious. Even like the color gradient changes to like like a gray.
Anytime you're back on Earth, it narrows it down. I think maybe because it's flashback, but in space everything's big and beautiful. On Earth, it's sort of flatter.
Which I'm sure is 100% intentional.
I'm sure.
But watching to again spoil some things, he goes on Rocky's ship in like this silly spacesuit.
Oh my
walking
gosh!
Around.
So that was one of the big things. In the book, you don't get a lot of details on Rocky's ship. You get sort of exterior and, the fact that things are made of solid xenon, and they call it xenonite, right? Yeah. Xenon. And so it's something that Rocky inside of his atmosphere can produce because of the pressure gradient and the heat, something that is theoretically possible. Yeah. We can do crystallized xenon, apparently. Again, it gets into the realm of feasibility science, but his whole ship is made of it. But so you have this back of your mind curiosity. Wow, wouldn't it be good if Andy Weir described some of the interior of this ship? But you sort of didn't get that. So it was almost like an Easter egg, like a fun kind of, oh my God, it's going in the ship. So
yeah.
So he builds him a xenonite spacesuit for Grace, and then he walks around in the ship, and they show the inside of it. What a fun thing for people who read the book are like, wow, that's a treat, right? Because, you weren't expecting that.
Don't skip it if you read the book. Don't skip this movie.
Yeah, because you're going to see things that are just like above and beyond. And
would you say this is one of the few movies where it's like, it's not that the book was better, but it just had more? Like you would say, like,
the book is always, any book you read is always going to have more depth in the movie, right? Almost 100% of the time, except maybe Lord of the Rings may be an exception, but even that one, there's a little bit.
Oh yeah, but there's still things they couldn't.
But still, but yeah, they did a really good job in my scenes. It's just maintaining the pace, and they did a lot of visual storytelling.
Yes,
they didn't explain how things were working. They just sort of showed you,
right?
And sort of built the story around the experience. So back to the visual storytelling.
that's the only really the flaw, like only quote unquote flaw I can find with it. Otherwise, this movie sort of hit every metric for me as far as fun, enjoying.
That's sort of funny for you, Mr. Movie Critic. This is my son, by the way. I don't know that he's ever had a movie he didn't have some nitpick with. Sorry, just to pick up. Even my favorites, I'm like, come on, Christian, this had to be perfect. No, it's never perfect, never perfect. But,
well, yeah,
but this was must be getting pretty close. So that's high praise for a movie coming from you.
I'm not even joking when I say, as far as like space movies go, this honestly for me a solid tie with The Martian, easily.
Yeah.
As
far as the movies go, wow.
Or are you going to put it like your top 10?
Oh yeah,
really?
I mean, this is for me. It is that good.
Wow.
It's going to be in, one of my top movies.
Just ever. Okay. Well, I think that's
like up there with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, jeez. Dang. Y'all don't even know how much of a high praise that is, but holy cow. Okay. Well, man, did we touch on everything? Is there anything else you want to talk about when it came to this?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, I guess we just need to tell people, do we recommend it?
Well, yeah.
But if you've watched to this point, duh.
Yeah.
You need to go see the movie.
For those who skipped the spoiler talk, Dad, would you say that Hail Mary is worth the popcorn?
2 times.
2 times.
You have to go see it twice. There's a little scene. Okay, this is a spoiler, but it's okay to have this spoiler because you won't even notice it if you see it the first time. Where Rocky has to save Grace. But Rocky can't exist in our atmosphere. So, he comes out of his shell. He goes to help Grace and drag him back to the med bed, right? And then he has to go save himself by getting back into his, atmosphere and his containment. He's got soot and he's dragging himself. He's really hurting. But there's a point in the movie where Grace is watching him heal and he's trying to do some science while Rocky's healing. And there's a scar on his hand, which is the perfect sort of little paw print from Rocky.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't even notice. You wouldn't even notice.
I didn't notice it the first watch.
I didn't see it in the first watch either, but the second one, I was like, oh, look.
You pointed it out to me in the middle of the movie. You're like, look, there's his finger marks. And I was like, oh my gosh, attention to detail.
Yeah, so he basically burned him because Rocky's so hot, compared to us. So yeah, it was sort of a fun little, there's so many little details. So if you don't watch it twice, you're going to miss a lot. Even if you read the book, you're going to miss a lot. Because they've done such a good job of incorporating all these visual storytelling details that I would think if I watched it a third time, I'm going to see things I did not see the first 2 times.
I cannot wait for this to be out on streaming. Yeah. I am considering going and taking Tori to go and watch it a third time.
Yeah.
I genuinely, I want people to go watch this. You know what I mean? It's one of those weird movies where it's not divisive. It's just it's not weird.
Yeah.
It's just good.
You walk out sort of feeling good.
Yeah.
How often do you do that when you go to a movie? You feel really good. It's like it's so hopeful, and in the world right now with the wars and everything going on, you just to have something that hopeful, and then have Artemis on top of it. It's like 2 good shots in the arm of the world is not a bad place.
Yeah. Just it's some good liquid IV optimism, especially if you need that. But this is, I would say, probably for even ages 6 and up. I mean, I think this is probably just fine. I think this is a perfect movie for the family, especially if you've got a kid who's interested in STEM, especially space.
Yeah.
This is it.
I don't think I saw anything that I wouldn't be comfortable by taking a 6 or 7-year-old with me to see that.
The worst I could imagine is they showed the bodies of the 2 crew members. And
just slightly,
but not even in a grotesque way.
No.
It
was he commemorated them, as a, I can't think of anything that would be non-explainable to a 6-year-old.
So this is very much, if you have a family, go watch it. If you are single, go watch it. If you love STEM, go watch it. If you don't believe in the moon landing, go watch it.
Oh my gosh.
It'll change it. No matter what, this movie is made for just about everybody, and I would highly recommend heading on over to your local cinema and go and watching this. And let us know if you liked it too in the comments, if you stuck around this long.
Yeah, please. And tell us if you think we're nuts as far as it being that good. I really think it's that good. Tell us if you think the same.
Yeah. So, all right. I also would say that it is definitely worth the popcorn. I even bought the freaking $30 popcorn bucket with Rocky in it.
It's pretty cool.
So I would say absolutely go and watch this movie. Any final thoughts on this, old man, that you got, that you can think of? Anything else you forgot to say you wanted to add in on there?
Well, I hope they do. Andy Weir has a second book called The Artemis. So the first one was A Martian. The second was called Artemis, which was about the moon, lead character named Jazz. And the third one was this one, Project Hail Mary. I know they skipped Artemis because moon gravity is sort of hard to get right. So
you challenged to film Artemis.
I'm really excited that if they can sort of use this as momentum to do the Artemis movie. That would be fun.
Yeah, I think they probably will say, you know what, Andy, we'll give you another movie. You know,
right?
Hey, shout out to Andy Weir. I'm going to email it to you. Tell us if you like the review.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you stuck around this long, let us know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to follow ESPN Radio Winchester on Facebook and YouTube. Dad, thank you so much for coming in and doing this a second time. Maybe we'll do another one here soon.
Sure. My pleasure.
All right. Well, stay tuned for more. Hey, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned to ESPN Radio Winchester, 1340 1069.